Welcome to Beyond Broken Hungry. Juggling your career, relationships, nutrition, fitness, finance, try to pursue your dreams, and stay sane can be a bit of a struggle. With the help of expertise from a variety of wellness experts and tips and tricks from everyday people, this podcast is here to share it all to make this journey we call life just a little more balanced. I'm stumbling towards wellness right alongside you, and I'm so happy to have you come along this journey. With that in mind, let's jump into this week's episode of Beyond Broken Hungry. Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to another episode of Beyond Broken Hungry. I am your host, Dara Sweat, and today I have Meg and Jake Seibert with Seibert Sports Performance is with us today. Meg, Jake, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So going off of this idea of the journey being a little overwhelming at first, and there's so many things that you have to check off. So I hear a lot from people that feel that the health and fitness journey is too expensive or anything like that. They're mostly seeing these people that are advertising supplements. And now I take supplements. I think that they supplement my nutrition and everything else. And I think that that's super important. And I want us to talk about that. And I wanted to talk about, you don't have to necessarily start your journey and then get all of these supplements at the same time. I know that I was kind of hesitant on buying into, taking vitamins and doing everything else because I was like I have a CrossFit membership, so that's not cheap. And so I was like, okay, I'm taking this step. This is a financial sacrifice for me to have to do that. So I'm going to get used to this, build up some stuff. I thankfully work a job where I'm kind of in sales, so I can, hustle and get a new client, make more money. And that's just kind of how it works for me. So I kind of look at that as just like, okay, now I just got to bring in more money now. Not everybody can say that, but I want to talk about nutrition being important, your physical activeness being important, but let's talk about the supplements and, how they are different for some people. And like Jake, you said that you don't like eggs. So the best way for you to get protein in the morning is probably going to be protein powder, a specific protein powder, or maybe, Greek yogurt or a smoothie with protein powder. So let's talk about that. What is y'all's take on using supplementation to help with your journey?
Yeah, I'm going to start with this because, I know Meg, this is what she does for her job. So she can talk about this for probably the next 4 hours. So I'm going to be nice short. She takes over. So again, we got two ends of the spectrum in this household here. And again, like I talked about earlier, just find what you enjoy and find what fits you best. For me, I'm pretty simple. I take two things. I take pre-workout most of the times before I'm working out, and then I take a post-workout stack. And like you said, in the mornings, if I'm in a run, I start at the gym some mornings at 6 a.m, so I'm up at 5 getting ready. And it's really easy just to grab a protein shake real quick, get the nutrients that I need before I start my day. So again, I'm pretty simple when it comes to that stuff. And then on the other end of the spectrum, Meg has like 8 cabinets in our kitchen. With her, there's some things in there where I'm looking at, I'm like, I've never even heard of that. Again, in our household alone, we've got two ends of the spectrum. We've got someone that loves supplements and all the benefits that comes with it. And then you've got someone like me. I'm pretty simple. I'm a meat and potatoes guy. I love eating steak and potatoes for dinner. And I know the benefits of having protein immediately after workouts. And that's why I take my post-workout stack. I've floated between different protein shakes after workouts. Meg introduced me to First Form, and I live and die by it now. I will always make sure after my workouts, I'm taking my post-workout stack. And again, it always comes down to find what you like. If you like the greens and all of the supplements that you want to, fine. If you enjoy doing it and you feel the benefits from it, absolutely. If you're a person like me that just wants to, take a couple scoops of C4 and go hammer out a workout and then take a protein shake afterwards, absolutely. Go ahead and do that.
Right.
Yeah, I promise I won't get too crazy with it. But I think this best, talking about First Form, our favorite response to some questions is it depends.
Yeah.
Every person is so different. Everybody has such different needs. And I think it really dials back to what is your goal and ensuring that you have a solid foundation to work from. So I think it's very important for anybody, no matter what their goal is, to ensure that they have a solid foundation. And when I talk about foundation, I'm talking about making sure they're getting in adequate micronutrients, and they are ensuring that they're getting in their omega-3s, and that they are making sure that their gut health is in check.
Mhm.
And if you even think about any other supplements beyond that, I would tell somebody that you're wasting your money, because you need to ensure that you have a solid foundation first. You know, I
Right.
explain to people, think of your body like a house, right? If you are trying to build a house and you have your carpenters, your people that are doing the siding, the people that are doing X, Y, and Z, like that's like all the micronutrients in your body. One of them is not going to do the job for everybody,
Right.
right? So when you think about that from a whole food side of things, you can absolutely ensure that you have a solid foundation from a micronutrient standpoint by getting in 5 to 7 servings of a wide variety of fruits and veggies every single day. And I need to emphasize every single day, 7 days a week, right?
Mhm.
Because if you do that, yes, you're probably going to be giving your body adequate micronutrients to ensure that everything is running optimally from a foundational level, like your metabolism, your energy levels, hormone production, muscle recovery, immune system, cognitive function. Anything in your body, guarantee you need micronutrients to make sure it's running optimally.
Right.
But you can do that from a whole food side of things. However, you think about the average person, I can't tell you a single person that gets in that variety of fruits and veggies every day. I know I don't. So that's why I take, a complete micronutrient supplement that will plug all of those known and unknown gaps in my nutrition to make sure everything is running from a very solid foundation. Tying it into a specific goal, right now, throughout this challenge that I'm doing, my goal was literally to lose 10 pounds. And it's really hard to lose weight if your body is not in a really good state to do that.
Right.
So you just have to ensure that you have a solid foundation. And then from a gut health standpoint, so many things stem from your gut.
For sure.
And people, I think that is something that's often overlooked, because talking about your gut, talking about greens is not a sexy topic.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, a fat burner, right? It's not that
Mhm.
interesting to the average person, but that's one of the most important things that you can focus on. And, again, something that you can absolutely do through whole foods by getting in 2 to 3 servings of foods that are rich in, more so probiotics and digestive enzymes. That's tropical fruits, fermented foods. The word fermented foods grosses me out. So you bet I'm relying on a supplement, right? Long story short, my point with this is it just depends on the person. Are supplements necessary? No.
Right.
However, if you are trying to truly optimize your health and it's a priority to you and you struggle to do things through whole foods, that's what supplements are there for. So once I had a solid foundation, yes, I do have a ridiculous amount of cabinets full of supplements. However, each one serves a purpose or served a purpose at a point in time. I
Right.
went and multi-fiber, right? Because I was not getting in enough foods that were rich in fiber. And guess what? My digestion also was struggling a little bit with it too. So do I use multi-fiber every single day? No. Actually, can't even tell you last time that I've done it or that I've used it, because I've been hitting my fiber through whole foods.
Mm.
So it's not always something that you have to rely on. However, it is there when you are struggling to get those nutrients or that benefit, whatever you're trying to get from it, through whole foods.
Right. No, I totally agree. And I mean, I think I've even, and I don't have a site for this, so I can't speak it. Don't quote me on this, anyone, but, but I believe that I've read somewhere that a lot of our foods these days don't have the proper nutrients even in them as it is. So like an apple today is not going to give you the same amount of nutrients that an apple 50 years ago would have given you. So because of the mass population and mass growth that we have to do for our foods and everything else, we're not even getting the adequate micronutrients that we need in the foods that we eat. So we almost we almost need at least the vitamins, at least the micronutrients. We almost need that, because no matter what, even if you are eating your 5 to 7 servings a day, you're still not really adequately getting it. So you almost at least that, if nothing else. Like I swear by taking a multivitamin pack, microfactor to be more specific, since I have been taking it, it really has taken my overall health to a whole nother level, because I was feeling like I was spinning in circles, and like, I'm eating right, I'm working out, what is going on, what am I missing? And then when I started to take that, my body started to get used to it and started to feel the differences from it, I really just personally felt like such a difference from it. And that's not me taking, fat burners and this and that and all the sexy stuff. It's just vitamins. It's just micronutrients to help my body process everything that I'm doing, from energy to eating, to just everyday function. I think it's super important for you, like you said, to have that foundation to build upon that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you say it best when foods nowadays too, like there's just so many things to take into consideration with that micronutrient gap. You're talking to somebody who's trying to lose weight, for example, you're already in a calorie deficit. So I guarantee you're probably already going to be short on getting an adequate micronutrients, because you're not technically, if you're following your calorie guidance, some can add up quicker than others from a carb standpoint, right? I'm not saying carbs are bad by any means. They are phenomenal. Eat the bread, eat all the carbs.
Love carbs.
Then you think about someone trying to put on muscle, you're going to be in a calorie surplus. You're probably not going to be thinking about fruits and veggies, because they're not going to add up as quick, and you have a higher calorie demand to reach. So everybody across the board is, guarantee you, struggling with some micronutrient deficiency. And I'll tell you, I used to take a woman's 1 a day gummy, right? Just because a gummy, right?
Yeah.
A vitamin, right? And I only took it because, one, your parents, your doctors, you need to get your vitamins in, but no one ever tells you why. And I think that's why people stray away from it too. It's like, oh, it's not that important, right? Or there's not really a reason as to why, so it can't be that important. I didn't feel any different. My energy levels still were the same. Like, immune system was the same. Didn't notice any difference in weight, nothing along those lines, right? Until I started taking Microfactor by First Form, which I'm glad you love it as much as I do. If everybody should be taking it, in my opinion. But
yes,
until I started taking that, I genuinely started to feel better, because it's so much more than just a multivitamin, right? It does plug all those known and unknown gaps in your nutrition. But I will tell you, and I know you have experienced this too, if you skip a day of getting in your micronutrients after ensuring that you get it in check, your body is like, hey, what the heck? I'm missing something. And you just feel off.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I actually forgot to bring, and I never do this, especially in the last year. I've been really good at packing my supplements when I travel, but I forgot to grab my microfactor. And I was in Nashville for a work trip, and I, was doing the best that I could, being as balanced as I can, working with what I got. I actually flew with food so that I could make sure that I had like certain things, because I knew that like the convention wasn't going to have certain, vegetables and stuff. But I felt after like 2 days, I was like, I just kind of felt a little sluggish. My mood was the biggest thing. I could sense a shift in just the way that my brain functioned, and not just like brain fog, like, actual like mood change. Just really felt down, really just felt everything. I used to tell my therapist this when I was going through my depressional seasons, that like things would seem gray, and I could start to kind of literally physically see a shift in the colors and how things were looking physically. And it was like, once I got back home, took it immediately, and I got home late. So I took it before I went to bed and woke up the next morning, and my body had some time to process it. And I immediately started to just feel a little bit better. I felt like I was a little uplifted. Like my body was literally like, thank you, please give it to me. Like, I've been needing this. Where's this been? And not in a way that's like, oh my God, like if I don't take this, like my body is like whatever. Like legitimately, like if I wasn't taking this, my body just knew it because I had gotten myself in a good habit of taking it. So my body expected it. And then it was ready to receive it once I finally put it back in, once I like picked it up and started taking it again.
And that's the thing is like, even like from an energy level standpoint, digestion, inflammation, bowel movements, brain fog, whatever, people that struggle with it for so long just think it's normal at that point until they start giving their body what it needs. And they're like, holy crap, this is a new normal. I didn't know I was supposed to feel like this. So there's a lot of people out there that think what they're struggling with is normal. And I'm telling you, it's not.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was definitely in that boat as well. And until I really started to kind of kick things into gear, and get things going in a good routine. And I'm still learning. I'm still not perfect. You know, my journey is up and down just like anybody else's. But in the last 2 years, I've really honed in. I've really made some changes. I've really like, and not just physically either. Like there's so much of the mental aspect, and spiritual aspect of things that go into that as well. This conversation has been super great. So I just have a couple more wrap up questions for you before we end this amazing conversation. So for you two, whether it's individually or you're working together as your husband and wife duo power performance, who is your ideal client?
For me, it, like I talked about earlier, it's someone that truly understands their why. You know, why do they want to do this? Why do they want to make this lifestyle change? And someone that is willing to do whatever it takes. You know, that I'm hoping, at least in the fitness industry, that's everyone's ideal client.
Right,
You know,
right.
someone that understands their why, someone that again is willing to do whatever it takes. That's not a reality for everyone, and that's okay. Again, that's why there's people in the fitness industry like us, because
Mhm.
again, that don't understand their why. And if there are people that aren't necessarily 100% motivated, well, that's kind of why people get personal trainers. That's kind of why
Right.
reach out to people in the health and fitness area, because, you know, they might know their why. They might, you know, have that goal of, I want to lose 10 pounds, I want to lose 20 pounds, whatever it may be. But they're like, I also love, you know, drinking milkshakes, eating potato chips, and sitting on my couch all day.
Mm.
And I don't want people to think that that's because that's not our ideal client. That's not okay. And we're not willing to
Sure.
work, because that's not true at all. You know,
Sure.
there's going to be people on two totally different ends of the spectrum. But again, for the ideal client, it's someone that understands their why, someone that's willing to focus on that every day, and that no matter what life throws at them, no matter what obstacles they have, they're going to continue moving forward, and doing whatever it takes to reach their goals.
Absolutely.
And I want to add on to that. And I wouldn't necessarily say, you know, it's a specific person this age, like a lot of people have,
Mhm.
very specific with their niche and their ideal client. But I would say, you know, overlapping what Jake had said, someone that is committed, someone that is open to learning,
Mhm.
someone that will communicate, and someone that is honest. And I really want to touch base on the last one in regards of someone who is honest. Someone who is honest in regards of speaking up, saying this isn't working, or I'm struggling with this,
Yeah.
or I tracked this, but I actually ate this. Because if they can't be honest with themselves, they're not going to be honest with us. And that's just going to hold them back. And, you know, they could use that. I could say they could use that against us, right? Oh, I've been working with them and I've been tracking my food, or I've been doing the workouts, when in reality, you know, if you show up to the gym and you're half-assing it, or you're saying you ate X, Y, and Z, but in reality you had a pizza and a beer instead, like you're just not being honest with yourself. So someone that
Yeah.
is communicating and being honest is ideal.
Yeah, absolutely. And knowing that sometimes having beer, pizza, and potato chips is okay. Like that's something that is 100%. Like you don't have to go into your new journey and think like say goodbye potatoes, goodbye, see you never. Like it's really
Listen,
just
Super Bowl Sunday. Oh yeah.
it's
I'm
on.
happy. beer, you name it. It's Super Bowl Sunday. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Love that. Love that.
Big saying Super Bowl Sunday. I'll probably do that on Saturday. So there doesn't need to be a specific day. That's why I love what I do. You can enjoy the foods that you love and still get results.
Absolutely. And like it's football season is a huge like excuse in this house right now. Not excuse, but just like reason of like, like I know like, okay, Saturday, this is what we're gonna be doing. Like there's no question. What are we doing this weekend, babe? It's football season. Okay, we're watching football, whether we're watching it here at someone else's house, at a bar, whatever. But it's like I know that I'm gonna be doing that. So like maybe for breakfast, I'll have a little bit of a more balanced meal. Then lunch, maybe same thing. And then maybe dinner, I'll go ahead and just kind of eat whatever. I'll kind of like not think about what I want to order. I'll just get what I want to get. But learning that balance and you get there.
kind of going off of that, again, like kind of we've been talking about this entire time, plan it.
Yeah.
If, for me, for example, if I know that it's Super Bowl Sunday and I know that when the game's on at night, I want to have a couple beers, I want to have a couple slices of pizza or whatever, keep that in mind. Don't eat what you're normally going to eat throughout the day. Otherwise,
Right.
if you're on a deficit, you're going to be over, 2,000 calories. Plan that out. And that's what, that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from Meg in the nutrition side of things is don't be afraid to eat what you want. Just be smart about it. Don't eat what you normally eat and then eat that crap on top of it.
Right.
If like, hey, Saturday, it's date night, I want to go out, look at the menu ahead of time. Figure out what you want to eat, plan that into your day, and then eat the rest of your meals around that.
Yeah. Yeah. My nutrition coach, her slogan is don't eat like an asshole. That's just what she tells us. We literally all have magnets with her head on it with like bubbles with the quote, and I put it on my fridge. And that's honestly what has helped me is literally just that phrase, don't eat like an asshole. Like if I know I do prioritize protein. So if I know that we're gonna have a date night or that we're gonna go out, like I'm gonna maybe have an extra quarter cup of egg whites, for breakfast, or I'm gonna just go ahead and just make a smoothie, and then also make a protein coffee on top of that, so that I'm really getting, I don't, you don't necessarily want to drink your calories, but drink your protein, put it in that way, so that way you at least know, like, all right, and my protein is in a decent position. I know that I'm gonna get chicken anyway, or I'm gonna get beef anyway. That's pretty high in protein, so I'll be around, if not the spot on, or even sometimes maybe over my protein. That's just a big thing for me, is to prioritize that. And sometimes I track on the weekends just so I can have the data, but sometimes I just do balance, and I just look at the plate and just follow the plate method and kind of keep it that way. But that's all things that I've learned throughout the journey. And it's not, not something that everybody has to go into, but it is good to have a plan. You should have a plan. And plans change, but at least if you have something, go into it. And then maybe your girlfriends change at the last second. Oh no, we're gonna go here instead. Like, oh shit, okay, then pull up Google again and look at that menu and see what's going on. Or, you can always try to wing it with the idea of, maybe I'll just figure out what I'm gonna eat when I get there. It doesn't always have to mean that I'm gonna order a salad. This is what I'm thinking. This is my priority. I'm gonna get something that at least has good meats, good vegetables, a nice starch, and I'm also gonna have a glass of wine, or whatever the case may be. So one of my last questions here. What is the best piece of advice that you both have individually gotten that really helped you in your journey?
Start now. In any aspect of life, short, sweet, simple, to the point. I said I'm going to start Monday. I said I'm going to start the first of the month. I said I'm going to start not now, essentially.
Yeah.
And you're only doing yourself a disservice. You start now. Say, oh, I'm going to start January 1st when everybody else starts, right? If you start now, think about all of the progress you can make between now and January 1st. You're 2 months ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
You're 2 months closer to your goal. And if you just start now, I promise you, you will thank yourself later.
100%. Love that. What about you, Jake?
I will say you're asking some pretty awesome questions here because, this is one, there's so many great pieces of advice that I've been given. I'm not that old, I'm only 26. But, in my journey throughout my life here, I've been given so much advice, and through that, the main thing that I'm taking away from it is don't be afraid to ask for help.
Mm. Yeah.
It ain't easy. For some people it might be, but again, for a large majority, it's not going to be easy. It's
Mm.
going to be a roller coaster journey where you have a bunch of ups and downs. And no matter whether it's health and fitness or if it's, educational, no matter what area of your life that you're looking at here. But obviously during this call, we're talking about health and fitness.
Right.
It's so much easier when you have someone to rely on, someone to keep you accountable, someone when you're struggling, you trust and you love, and you know that you can go to them and they're not necessarily going to tell you what you want to hear, but they might, kick you in the ass and tell you what you need to hear.
For sure.
That again is some of the biggest advice that I've been given. And sometimes that's hard for me. I am one of the most stubborn SOBs you might ever meet. And yeah, my wife's not.
She's like, yeah.
If my dad ever watches this, I want him to know that I get it from him. So it's his fault, to be honest with you. But in all seriousness, for someone like me that's so stubborn, sometimes it is so incredibly hard to ask for help.
Mhm.
But I also have that realization that it's important.
Right.
It is so much easier when you have someone. And I'm not saying it needs to be your wife. I'm not saying it needs to be mom and dad. It could literally be your best friend that you trust. And it's not going to be family that you're going to see every day. It's someone that might live halfway across the country that you
Right.
can pick up the phone and call at any moment in time. And you're like, hey, I am struggling right now. You don't even need to fill him or her in on the details. You're like, I'm struggling right now. I need you to kick me in the ass. I need you to tell me what I need to hear. And you know that you're going to get it. So again, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't think that you need to do this alone. There's people in your life that love you and that are willing to help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. Way to end on a such a powerful note. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Kind of circumferencing everything that we've talked about, or maybe something that we didn't get into, that you would love for my listeners or anybody who's listening out there, or anyone that you would just see off the street, anything that you would like to add that you feel someone should know?
Yeah, for me here, it's what I say, don't be a blind sheep. Okay. Again, we live in a world where social media is kind of the driving force for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there are some really, really good positive things that come out of social media, but there's also some really, really bad things. And especially in the health and fitness area, my biggest piece of advice would be don't just say yes. Okay, if someone's telling you, go buy this, you need this, go do this, and you're not sitting there and asking why. Me and Meg have been talking about this all night on this call. The most important thing is why.
Mhm.
If someone tells you you need to go buy this supplement, go buy it. Don't just go buy it. Ask them why. Why do I need this?
Yeah.
Hey, you need to go and do this workout. Well, why am I doing that workout? So again, question people. That's what we're here for. I'm not just here to have a bunch of people, give them a sheet of paper and say, here, go do this. I want people to ask me those questions because that's how you continue moving forward and that's how you continue growing. I always look at it as I don't want to have clients for life. That's a scary thing
Yeah.
to some moments because people, we live in a world where, you need money to survive and your clients are your income.
Sure.
I don't want lifelong clients. I want to build people for success so that eventually they are self-dependent and they can do that themselves. And the only way to get to that point is to question and to ask why. Because once
Yeah.
they start understanding why, then they can start figuring things out on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. What about you, Meg?
I really want people to know, anybody that's listening, anybody that I would talk to on the street, anybody, I would just tell you to start investing in yourself now. And when I say that, that could be invest in your education, that could be investing into your mental health, that could be investing into balancing out your hormones, that could be investing in your fitness journey, that could be investing in a relationship. Whatever it is, start investing in yourself now, and you're going to thank yourself later. And don't overthink it. The more you overthink it, again, paralysis by analysis, the more pressure that you put on yourself and try and be perfect in every single area. Not realistic, right? You just, long story short, invest in yourself now and, 3 months from now, you're going to thank yourself. A year from now, you're going to thank yourself. 10 years from now, you're going to look back and be like, wow, I'm really grateful that I did that for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Well, y'all, thank you so much for spending the time with me this evening to talk about all this. It was such a great conversation, some really powerful points that both of you had to bring. And I'm really appreciative of having you both on here. Where can anyone find you if they want to follow you or look into you or perhaps work with you? What's the best way to reach you?
They can find us on Instagram at Seibert Sports Performance.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for being a part of the Beyond Broken Hungry podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you
for
so much
having
for
us.
having us. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Beyond Broken Hungry. If you aren't already, be sure to subscribe to Beyond Broken Hungry wherever you get your podcast so you can get notified every time a new episode drops. It would also mean the world to me if you rate, review, and share the podcast too, so more people can join the BBH tribe. Follow this podcast on social media at Beyond Broken Hungry to interact and see how I'm stumbling toward wellness one day at a time. And most importantly, tune back in next week for another episode. See you then.